You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Yo, Adrian!
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 50. We release every Thursday mornings on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher. Steve, I gotta tell you, 50 episodes. We're so close to that 1 year mark, but we're at the half-century mark this episode, baby.
I can taste it, man. I can taste it. You know, I'm missing you, man. I feel all alone in this big cavernous space that I call my basement.
You know, I got to tell you, I loved being able to record live with you last week. It was so much fun. This still feels great, but I do miss last week.
Yeah, no, it was great. So for those of you who maybe are just joining us for the podcast or maybe missed last week's episode, do yourself a favor, go back, take a listen. Spence was back in the motherland, and he had spent 4 glorious days here at the Madura La Casa. Rates are only $99 a night, cables included, and had a great time. We recorded live, which was the first time in the Fortress of Nerditude's history that such a feat was undertaken.
Right. And I tell you what, like it went really well. It was a lot of fun, and it was definitely way later than I was planning on starting. But it didn't matter. Like it felt like we were like 16 again, and like I could have stayed up and done that all night.
It's funny because the first thing that my kids ask when Spencer comes into town is like, "When can I be in the podcast?" Shut your mouths, boy.
Well, let's talk about our kids, man. How was your Halloween?
Wow, my Halloween was great. I love Halloween. I'm a big kid at heart, so it was great. The few nights before Halloween, I think I might have talked about this. I was the MC of my congregation's Halloween party.
Right, with your big afro.
My big afro, right. So Halloween came and it went, and my kids are starting to get to the age now, Carter at least, where he is starting to go off with friends now. And it's like they've left the coop. They're spreading their wings and flying. And so he did that. He went off with his friends, and then Addison and Lila and I went out, and Alana was with her friends. So we met up with some of Addison's friends. We had a great time, and it was a cool night, not like brisk cold. I mean, it was a cool night, but there was this fantastic like movie style, like thriller style moon in the sky, and the clouds were moving really fast, so it would kind of like go across the moon like in a werewolf movie. It was so cool.
How early did they start trick-or-treating?
We started like right after school. They got home. They had a quick snack. So we started like 4:30-ish.
Whoa.
Yeah. We started. Oh, we don't mess around, Spence. This is real. This is like bigger than Christmas in our home.
Wow.
And so what's funny though is that I didn't realize, because when we were kids, like, do you remember like how late would we stay out trick-or-treating?
Till it was like really dark. Maybe like an hour after dark, maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking like 9 o'clock, maybe. Like, I felt like it was pretty late. Maybe it was because I was a kid and we were talking like you going back home and feeling like everything was bigger.
Right, yeah.
Maybe I felt like it was later. I don't know. Mine was more of a time thing, not really a spatial thing.
Sure.
But I, like 8 o'clock in our neighborhood, like lights go out, kids are off the streets, and like things go, it's like dark. I'm like, what? We close shop here? So this week or this year we were. We just kind of kept going, and like we started, knocking on houses that were dark and be like, "We know you're in there! Open up! Give us the candy! We know you got it!" No, they were actually houses that stayed open a little bit later this year, so we got some extra trick-or-treating. And then we actually went to some newfound friends in our neighborhood, and we had fondue, which I know you're a big fan of.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids got to, collect and trade their spoils of war. So it was awesome fun, man. I love Halloween, and it's our kids love it. The problem is now is like we had to take a family oath, like literally. Carrie like sat everybody down, made them like raise their hand, be like, I will not steal anyone else's candy. Steal anyone else's candy. We would like take a vow because there are some sticky fingers.
Did you make them cut their wrists or their palms?
That's right.
And like blood pact? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. They all have
blood,
like their
blood
wax
of my
lips
blood.
on
I seal upon you. I will not besmirch your name and steal your candy.
Yeah, and there's already been a little bit of accusations been flying around the house.
Ooh. Let me guess.
Yeah, so
let me guess.
Okay, go for it.
People are accusing Addison or Alana of doing the stealing.
Addison has been accused, and Carter has been the accuser.
Okay.
But I think Addison has been exonerated because we had some DNA samples taken. We took the prints down to the lab, and everything checked out fine.
Here's the thing. Okay, so when I was at your house, they'd already done some of the trick-or-treating from the church congregation, right? And Addison had me come into his room, and he was showing me his room and showing me his little cubby hole where he's got that kind of like bed in the closet thing, and it's kind of like little fort, right?
Yeah, yep.
And then I saw on the floor all his candy was like laid out and cataloged by like which kind, like M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, Baby Ruth,
all in rows,
in rows and like cataloged. So. Yep. I mean, if you're going to accuse someone of, taking your candy, maybe accuse the kid that's got just all lumped into a bucket, and there's no Addison knows probably exactly how many of what he's got.
As opposed to the Dewey Decimal System for candy?
Right.
Oh, that's in the 300s. That's over by the corner, by the window. Yep.
Candy corn? Oh, we put that in the back hallway somewhere.
That's right. That's right. So I've given each kid like a secret hiding place for their candy. Like, Dad, why'd you tell me the oven? Mom preheated it this morning. Oh, crap. It's just a big lump of sugar.
What the kids don't know is that Dad knows all the secret hidey holes. Dad's the one pilfering the old candy bank.
It's like Billy Madison. Who would steal 30-sack lunches?
Right.
I'm in the basement. Slow pokes coming out my ears.
Yep.
Anyway, so it was great. We had a great time, and it's been good ever since. We've just had a busy week. There's just so much going on with kids these days. It's like got the swimming and the ballet, and we have ice skating now. Alana's doing ice skating, and Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and campouts and da. So it's always busy here.
Yeah,
always busy.
I hear
but
you.
never time enough for. Or there's always time, I should say, for a little bit of time in the Fortress of Nerditude. So happy to be back, and yeah, how was your holiday? How were the kids? Mario and Luigi.
Mario and Luigi, yes. Charlie and Jackson, they were so excited. They came home from daycare, and their grandparents Gigi and Boppy were still here, and so we did like dinner. But like, I guess here there's like a law or maybe like a city ordinance that like you can't start trick or treating until at least maybe like 6 o'clock at night, because they want to,
like a real law.
Yeah, there's some sort of city ordinance or something in our city, because you think about it, like the city wants to regulate, like what hours kids are out in mass, because they want to warn the public to keep traffic low and all that sort of stuff, safety. So like we got our kids out like maybe like by 6:15, 6:20, we were done with dinner, and they went out and like they did not have the stamina this year. Like last year, literally, it was like 8:30, 8:45, lights are going out everywhere, and they're still like, no, more candy, one more house. I was like, ugh. This year, we were back home and in pajamas by 7:30.
What? You're like, son, you disappoint me.
If I hadn't overbought candy from Costco the day before, I would have probably pushed them to go a little bit further because I knew they would run out fast. But
right,
we've still got like pounds and pounds and pounds of candy hidden away in our cupboard that they have no idea exists, that I had forgotten about until I just started this story.
And let's keep it that way.
Yeah, it's just, they don't need that much, but they didn't have the energy. And then the other thing we noticed this year was that like our neighborhood, maybe like half the houses give away candy. The other half of the houses are dark. Like a lot of people in our neighborhood like go to other neighborhoods to trick or treat where it's better.
One of those.
And so I'm a little disappointed because I think it's better when you can just trick or treat in your own neighborhood. And it's like you see your neighbors and your friends and people you see at church, and kids recognize it, like, oh, hey, that's my Cub Scout leader. it's kind of a thing, so they get a bigger kick out of it versus like I'm gonna drive into some highfalutin neighborhood and go after them.
They give the king size.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the kids had a good time. It was a little cold here, so they did wear jackets, which Jackson wore a little green Ninja Turtles jacket, and Charlie wore a kind of a red and blue Spider-Man jacket. So even though the jackets didn't match their outfits, they color coordinated their outfits to their jackets. So that worked out well. Let's see here. That was really good. Back working after the holiday, but the vacation. Took a little bit of, trying to get back into the swing of things after being gone for like 5 days. And then this last weekend, I saw Thor Ragnarok. And
did you see it on opening night?
Yes. I saw it Friday night. And so I guess technically that's opening night, although now a lot of the movies are starting to do like a kind of a soft open on Thursday night and are starting to include like the Thursday night in there. So I saw it on Friday night. I won't talk about it in depth right now because we are going to do it for our movie club here in a few weeks. But I must say, I loved the movie. I'm just going to leave it there. I loved the movie. It was a lot of fun, and it has me excited for what's coming down the pipe next. So I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to go any further, but I just want to say I love the movie. It was great, and I can't look forward to what's coming down the road next. Now, let me say this one last thing, and then we can move on. I am tired tonight, and let me tell you why. Because dang daylight savings time, right? Now, I'm an adult. It's not that big of a deal. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. I can handle it. It's just a small time change. Except my kids don't understand this. So this morning, my boys were in our bedroom at 5 a.m. because they were thinking it's 6 a.m., which is still too early. But they were in our room at 5 a.m. and they're like, Daddy, turn on Cars 3. And I was like, no. It's too early. Go back to your beds. And they're like, no, we're awake. I was like, fine, go play in the toy room. It's like they're clicking on lights, and I can hear them like banging cars into stuff, and they're playing and running around and chasing. Like they literally were up at 5 a.m. playing, like full on, like full energy playing this morning. And
did they not get the memo?
No, not at all. So it's going to take a few days, I think, to kind of get them readjusted to this time change and this shift. But I'm telling you, like that's the brutal part of parenting that they don't tell you about when you have a baby. It's that like, oh yeah, by the way, twice a year, you're going to get a time shift that's unexpected, and your kids are going to take like 3 weeks to adapt, and you're going to hate life.
That's right.
I don't hate life, but I'm saying it's a little rough.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say, like, I got like a new lease on life, man. An extra hour of sleep. I went to bed at like 9 o'clock last night. I got up at like 6:30 this morning. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. I hate you right now, by the way.
Got up, went running, lifted some weights, saved some cats from
all
trees.
This extra time, what am I going to do with myself?
What have I been wasting my life away? Sleeping. Right. So... Well, very cool. Well, I am glad that the kids got all the candy they could handle after 32 minutes of knocking doors. And
seriously.
Yeah, that's, that's awesome. Well, very cool. So let me ask you this. What is your favorite candy? If you had to choose anything, what would be your favorite, if you were kind of dipping, a little sticky finger Stapleton, I know your game.
Oh,
what would you take?
There's no game. I straight up tell them I'm taking it.
Nice.
If I hadn't developed my peanut allergy, about 15 years ago, it would still be peanut M&Ms. I love peanut M&Ms. But since I haven't had peanuts in probably a decade or so, and since I really kind of understood what was going on every time I'd eat them, Tootsie Rolls. I love a good Tootsie Roll. I don't like them when they're hard and like nasty, but like if they're a little soft still and a little bit of chew to them, love a Tootsie Roll.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Tootsie Rolls are actually made in Chicago.
Well, they're made by the Tootsie Company.
No, seriously, because I was driving downtown last week.
Do you want me to go grab it? Do you want me to go grab a Tootsie Roll and see if I can see what it says on the wrapper?
Yeah, Tootsie Roll Industries, 7401 Cicero Avenue, Chicago, Illinois.
Boom, baby, hometown.
Dude, when you were in town, we should have taken a tour. You could have taken a Tootsie Roll tour.
Wait a minute.
I'm looking at this right now.
We could have taken a tour.
Plant tour, Tootsie Roll Industries. Yep.
Okay, well, now we know exactly.
Rita!
Right. Oh, hey, I forgot to ask you. I left a present behind for you at your house. Did you find that yet?
You son of a gun. All right, so let the record show. All right, there is
By the way,
item.
if you get into this story, this is going to be like 15 minutes. I'm just telling you. But it's worth every minute.
All right, here we go. So back in college, Spencer and I were back in college, and I was a little bit of a ladies' man, and there was this one particular girl, and she was very interested in old Mad Dog Madura.
Hold on. Now I'm going to interrupt here. Not only was she interested in Steve, but she was one of these girls where she's a sweetheart. She was very, very nice.
She was very nice.
But she did not pick up on social cues and did not understand that Steve was not interested in her in the slightest at all.
That is
Steve
correct.
had no interest. But Steve is very polite and would never be rude to her. I, on the other hand, said a few things that could be interpreted as rude from time to time. Go ahead.
There's the door. Use it. Anyway, so one day, I think towards the end of the semester,
right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. There we go. She came over, and I was in the back taking a shower, and Spencer was up front.
I answered the door, and
yeah,
I knew you were in the shower.
And he's like, Steve's busy right now, and she's like, I'll wait. He's like, whatever. So he I think, didn't you go and just sit and watch a movie? I don't know, whatever you were doing.
Yeah, I just sat back. Sat back down and let her wait because I was like,
yeah. So she sat awkwardly on the corner of the couch, waiting patiently. And there was
for about 45 minutes, as I recall, because you used to take a long time in the shower.
This face doesn't happen overnight. Let me tell you,
it takes a while to get clean, right?
That's right. It's every crack and every crevice. So anyway, so I come out of the shower and Spencer's like, "Hey, there's somebody here for you." And I think, I don't know who it is, whatever. And so I come out, and I'm in my towel, dripping wet.
Nothing else.
And nothing else. Just the towel. So I come out, and I'm like, hey, it's you.
Bex.
And she's like, hi, I got your Christmas present here. I'm like, oh, I didn't get anything for you. She's like, that's okay. So she gives me this present. And it's this little 4-inch by 2-inch little square. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. It's about the size of it's like a 3x5.
Yeah, it's about a 3x5.
3x5, 4x, whatever. And so I take it and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And she's like, open it now. I want to see your face. I'm like, you see it right now. What's the problem?
Right.
So I unwrap this thing, and it's this wood-framed picture that has been, I don't know, hand knit or crocheted.
It's cross-stitch.
Whatever, cross stitch, and all it says, it's a white background, and it's in green, like a forest green font, and it says, "Joy is ...
Yes.
And I just read it straight up. I'm like, "Joy is," more of a question, what the crap is this? It doesn't even finish a sentence. It's a fragment. You gave me a fragment for a Christmas present? And she's like, whatever you want it to be. And her arms outstretched. She's like,
yeah. So here's the thing. She goes in for the hug. My boy is standing there, dripping wet, naked except for a towel around his waist, and he doesn't know what to do. And I can see this look on his face. And she comes in for a hug, and you hug her, standing there.
What am I supposed to do? I'd rather not.
You could maybe I could go put some pants on first. I mean, now let me tell you,
there's nothing but terry cloth robe between me and you.
I don't regret many things in this life, Steve. I don't regret many things. But the opportunity to grab your towel and jerk it off you, I regret not taking that opportunity.
I just keep holding. I'm like, this is going to be awkward.
After all these years, I still think, man, what would he have done if I would have snatched that towel from him? Because she would have been super excited.
That would be awkward. Anyway, so long story short, so she this awkward hug where it's dripping wet and her cold hands on my clammy skin. Anyway, and so she I say thank you, and she leaves. And this piece of Madura history has become immortalized. And ever since then, from then until now, which it's been, 20 years or so.
About 20 years.
This relic has gone back and forth between old Stapleton and I. And every time we visit each other, this literally has gone on. Every time we visit each other, there's some way, somehow we'll leave it behind. I found it like in backpacks or in suitcases that like I haven't used in like 3 years, and suddenly I open it up and go to, pack for a trip. I'm like, what the crap is this? And so this week, my daughter, we were down having scripture study in the morning, and she looks up, she's like, what is that thing above our name? And we have this thing where we have our family crest and our name, and then all of the people in our family below it that my brother-in-law Braden made for me. It's awesome. I love it. And it hangs majestically above our...
But they're all wooden blocks, though. They're wooden blocks. And
he made them. Handmade them.
And it looks beautiful. But this little Joy Is thing is about the right size. It's close to the right color. And I looked at this and went, if I put this in plain sight, but near something that's going to look similar, how often are they going to walk past that without even seeing it there in plain sight? That was my thought process.
It took like 5 days. And my wife or my daughter's like, what is that? And I look at them like, no. Like, Daddy, what about scripture study? I'm like, no scripture study. I've lost the mood. Anyway, so it was awesome. It was so funny. So just wait, Stapleton. It will come back to. But the thing is, you can't. Have we sent it back and forth as well?
No, you can't mail it back and forth. It has to be hand delivered.
Hand delivered, yeah. Now it can be delivered by someone other than yourself, but it has to be hand delivered. So you could send it to someone, and then somehow they get it to you. So it's funny because my wife's family has done the similar thing with this bowling ball. It's like this little plastic bowling ball they found like on a road trip one time. They have baked it into cakes and delivered it to when they're cut open the cake. Like, what the? And it's like this small bowling ball about the size of a bocce ball. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway, so that is the story of the Joy Is.
Whatever you want it to be. I tell you, I want to snatch that. I want to go back. If I ever get a time machine, or if I invent one, I'm going to go back to that moment. I'm going to get right behind you. And I'm going to snatch that towel off, and then come back to the future, and then I'll remember it of having happened. Let the record show that Spencer would not go back and stop JFK's assassination or, kill Adolf Hitler. Right. No. He would de-pants me in an awkward situation. That is why he doesn't have a time machine. This was the same girl that invited you to a dance, and she brought over a dozen white roses, and she's like, if you'll go to the dance with me, return a white rose. But if you won't go to the dance with me, return a blue rose. And Steve's like, okay. And I didn't know she was on the other side of the wall. And I was like, dude, we totally should get some blue dye and just dip it in that blue dye and then send it back. I'm like, yeah. Spencer, she hasn't left yet. I was like, oops, gotta go. De-pants you, gotta go. Yeah. Anywho, so we've labored on. I'm glad I was able to leave that present back in your caring hands. Well, thank you. Thank you. It will make its way back to you sooner than you think. Breed and I were talking about this. If it's in my possession when I die, I win. You know why? Because I'm going to bequeath it to you in my will. That way you won't be able to return it. I undig your dead grave hands and burn it. The next day it's found on my counter in perfect state, perfect condition. All right. Anyway, so that's the story. So we've labored on long enough, but on with the show. All right, let's get to some Rebel Intelligence. What do you say? Let's do it. That was a long pause there, buddy. Thanks. Yes. It was for dramatic effect. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information. Rest in peace, you Bothans. All right, Steve, Rebel Intelligence, what do you have for our super friends this week? First thing out of the gate, do you remember the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? It was one of his first, Conan the Barbarian, and then the sequel, Conan the Destroyer. Sure, yeah. Big movies, and He was a ripped dude, and they were great.
Fantastic. They were fantastic. Well, there's a movie that was kind of tied in, and it was called Red Sonja.
Oh,
do you remember this movie?
Yeah, the one with what's her face? The chick with the
Brigitte Nielsen.
Yes, no, Brigitte Nielsen.
Brigitte, excuse me. Yes,
Brigitte.
she's from Denmark or something. Brigitte Nielsen. Yeah. So they have talked about possibly doing a remake for years and years, and they've been waiting for the right time.
Red Sonja?
Yeah. Well, it's as you know, I mean, with Wonder Woman and some other kind of female heroine-driven movies, they thought that now was the right time. And so they've gotten a bunch of different people. They've got Avi Lerner, who was with the Expendables, and he did Olympus Has Fallen. Joe Gatta, who had done Conan the Barbarian back in 2011. And then Mark Canton, who'd done 300. So they've got, kind of the right group of people, the right mix of people to kind of bring this together. But one of the people that had tried to do a reboot back in 2013 was Gail Simone, and it was a TV reboot, I believe. And she wants in. She had tweeted from her Twitter account when news had kind of come forth that this was in the works. She said, "Call me," and she was one that had done a show called Bird of Prey, I believe, which was a comic strip that she's fairly well known for.
Let me ask you a question, Steve.
Wonder Woman. Yeah.
So they're saying that they feel like the time is right because of the success of Wonder Woman. Do you feel like that's just like saying like, hey, we finally had a big superhero movie that features a heroine that was successful, so we think that means that like audiences are just ready to accept that or watch that more? Or do you think it's more like they're like, hey, this was just really big, so like we need to strike while the iron's hot? Because
the latter.
Okay, because me personally, I'm like, I think the audience would always be up for a successful heroine-led superhero movie, but it's got to be good. Like you can't come with crap. You've got to make. I think every superhero. I think that applies to everyone, not just when they're held by women. But like it's got to be good. And like that was the thing about Wonder Woman, is that was a really well done movie, and it was really well acted and was really well written. You could have taken Wonder Woman out of that, and you could have put in Batgirl. You could have put in Catwoman, and it would have been good. But like you go back to the Halle Berry Catwoman, and that movie was just horrendous. Because it was just a bad movie to start. Had nothing to do with that. Anyway, I was just curious because Red Sonja seems like a stretch.
Well, it was back in 2000. I'm sorry, it was back in 1985.
Yeah.
And so, like, would you ask yourself, like, was 1985 also the right time, and it just hasn't been the right time from then till now? Like, no.
Right.
It was a fine movie back then, and similarly, as we talked about Black Panther, like, is it suddenly the right time to have an African American led superhero? You know, like, no. There's also been Wesley Snipes with what's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Blade. There you go.
Blade. The Blade movies.
Anyway, so yeah, I think it's just riding on the coattails. But anyway, I liked the movie back in 1985. I loved the Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Barbarian movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and in this one he actually is a stand-in for High Lord Kalidor. So that's his role in this one.
I don't remember. I mean, I remember the Red Sonja movie, but like I don't really remember the plot. All I remember is she wore like a metal bikini top or some sort of like chest plate thing or something, and
it did well in in Star Wars. It'll do well here.
Right, exactly. Brigitte Nielsen, man, that's a name I haven't thought of in a long time. Yeah.
Rocky IV, right?
Wasn't she like married to Stallone or with Stallone?
She was in Cobra, which was a movie with Stallone back in like the late 80s. Yeah. I love that. It was a good movie.
So speaking of bringing back stuff, because it seems like that's what we're doing all the time now. There's a report that Amazon is working along with Warner Brothers and the Tolkien estates to bring back Lord of the Rings, but to bring it back as like a TV show. Now, I don't know about you, Steve, but like I feel like the movies were about as darn near perfect as you're going to get to Tolkien's books. Now, I mean, they're not perfect. Those of us that are big fans of the books understand that, you can't put everything in a book onto film. But I mean, those movies were really darn good movies.
Well, when you say bring back, I mean, when I hear you say that, something has to be gone for a while. Doesn't it seem like to be able to bring it back? That's like saying, like, Thor Ragnarok, we're going to bring it back next year for a reboot. Like,
I mean, they did that with Spider-Man. Here's the thing, though. Like, I think there's a lot of people are looking at the success of Game of Thrones, seeing this big fantasy epic that was serialized and on cable TV, and they want to do that. And Lord of the Rings is the high mark in fantasy. I mean, it is the holy grail that all other fantasy gets held up to time and time again.
Absolutely.
So I can see why someone would want to say, okay, look, this was really popular, and then here's another really popular intellectual property. Why don't we try to do this and make it a TV show? I think that for me, that's too soon. I mean, I'm okay with reboots to a degree, but it's got to be enough time. And I'm like, those movies were so great. Get a couple generations away from those movies. Get 30 years away from those things where you don't have anyone that remembers them, like new, younger people, and then come out with that in a TV format on like an Amazon or whatever, and it would kill. Right now, I mean, maybe it'll do well, maybe it won't, but too many people, I think, are going to compare it to the movies and compare the casting to the movies.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think, first of all, it's too soon. I think secondly, and I agree with you, Peter Jackson's interpretation of those were the best that could be done. The best that could, I mean, the casting, everything,
right?
The music, everything. I think that any TV show is just not going to be able to hold a candle to what was done there. So I agree. So, but speaking of reboots and speaking of 30 years out, one that I wanted to bring up was The Twilight Zone, which has actually just been slated. That is correct. Your singing voice is really coming back after the accident.
Thank you.
But anyway, so CBS has announced a new Twilight Zone anthology series from the director of Get Out, Jordan Peele. And so this is actually over 50 years ago since its initial iconic run. Now, I thought about this as well, and I thought, well, is this kind of taking off a little bit of the Stranger Thing-esque, because that's kind of a mystery type of thing where it's not, it's not like little vignettes. It's a chronological story that goes along, as opposed to Twilight Zone, which was just small vignettes. Did you ever watch Twilight Zone back in the day?
No, I mean, I've seen little bits, little vignettes here and there on stuff. And then, of course, I rode the Tower of Terror, both in Florida and Hollywood, where they kind of have the whole Twilight Zone theme. And so that's about as much as I know.
There's actually, so I have seen the reruns of the actual show, but then there's actually a Twilight Zone movie, and actually John Lithgow is an actor in one of the scenes that I'll never forget, actually. And it's one where he's like really paranoid guy. He gets on a plane. It's like a stormy night. He's sitting on the plane, and he keeps looking out, and he keeps seeing this gremlin out on the wing, and it kind of looks at him. It's like this little creature, and it's like ripping up like cables and different parts of the plane, and the plane starts to go down, and he starts freaking out, and everybody has to like sedate him with this. Anyway, every time I fly, I think of that shot.
Wow.
I think of that. Yeah. Anyway, so Jordan Peele has been kind of selected to run with this project. But what's interesting is that this thing kind of comes on the heels of about 5 different tries of studios trying to redo this series, this franchise, and failing. And so I'm very interested to find out kind of what's going to become of it. Now, the interesting thing here is that it's going to be behind CBS's All Access Pass, which I know you're a
pass.
Big fan of, so. So on to the next thing. No, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, you can keep me appraised of the situation as time goes by, because I won't be paying for it. But I wish them all the best of luck. Speaking of stuff that's been renewed. Have you started watching The Orville yet?
I have not. I know we talked about it a while back, but I've not not watched it.
The Orville has been renewed for a 2nd season already. It's kind of funny because like The Orville, I feel is like it's kind of supposed to be kind of like a real kind of send up to Star Wars, like an homage, but at the same time, it's also supposed to be like kind of a, not Star Wars, Star Trek, sorry. Kind of a send up to Star Trek, an homage, but it's also has like a feel of like it's a comedy and like kind of spoofing on it at the same time. So like I know last week we talked about Star Trek Discovery has just been renewed. Well, now Orville's just been renewed. Like they weren't going to like let a whole week go by. But apparently though, I think there's only going to be 13 episodes of the first season. And instead of like saying like, hey, we're going to, tack on, the back 9 and do a full complete season, they just said, we're just going to renew and do a whole second season. So my guess is we're only going to get 13 episodes of the Orville for season 1, and then we'll get a full slate for season 2.
Do you think it's kind of odd? I mean, I know we already talked about this last week with Star Wars Discovery, but
Star Trek Discovery?
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, and you just made the same mistake I did.
STD, I gotta remember that.
STD.
But that they're doing this kind of prematurely. I mean, is this very common that they're green lighting second seasons before they're even done with the?
I mean, well, Peter Christensen wrote in, and we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I guess he did.
He said sometimes like Netflix shows will do 2 seasons at a time or a little bit more. But this isn't that case. Like, it was a single season and then it did well. I just think that if a show is maybe borderline and it's starting to do well and they're starting to get some positive buzz, renewing for a second season early, a little premature, and then announcing it like, hey, this is getting all these great reviews. It's now been approved for a second season. It kind of probably would help get maybe people that are sitting on the fence to say, oh, well, hey, there's going to be a second season of this. Let's check it out. Maybe this isn't a flash in the pan. And so they'll maybe draw in more people that way. It's just a guess, but an educated one.
No, that's probably true. And also, kind of keeping those that are, getting involved with the series to stay involved or to stay loyal.
Right.
There's stuff behind it. So anyway, so that's, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What else you got for me?
Are you gonna start watching Orville?
I mean, I want to. It's just a matter of timing. I've got a couple other things that I want to get to maybe before it, but okay. I do like the idea of it.
All right. So one thing that I thought was awesome. This is probably one of my favorite things that we're going to talk about tonight in Rebel Intelligence. Is there is a story that's gone viral, and this was a Halloween delivery down in Nashville area, where a doctor, Dr. Paul Locust, an obstetrician in Henry County Medical Center, Nashville, delivered a baby in full Heath Ledger Joker garb.
What?
And have you seen the article on this, Spence?
No. I'm going to look it up right now. Serious? Like,
take a look. It is awesome, but also like frightening to think like this is your child's first image I mean, I know hopefully it doesn't burn into their psyche.
Dude.
But the pictures,
these pictures
the pictures that are online.
This is nuts.
Right? There's one where it's like you can see like her leg and then he's like in full garb and
it looks like he's handing over like some sort of like medical instrument. Like it's super creepy.
So anyway, the story is that she went into labor. She wasn't scheduled to go into labor that day. It was like the next day, but her water broke, and he was in full garb. I don't know if he was like at work in full garb or if he was like out trick or treating with his kids and they had to like come in. I get the sense that he was actually at the hospital in full garb. But anyway, so yeah, if you have the chance, check this out. It's all over the internet. The images are frightening, and he looks really good.
Yeah, really freaky, really creepy.
Like it even looks like his own hair. I mean, it's
so let me ask you this: if you're delivering a baby, and your doctor comes dressed up as some clown killer, the clown prince of crime, are you gonna ask him to go like wash that crap off his face and look normal, or are you gonna say, just roll with it and like let him deliver? Because these pictures look like it could come out of like some like video game where it's like, you like you're Batman and you walk in on him like I don't know, like mutilating some body or something. It looks weird.
Well, the husband and wife, Paul and Joseph and Brittany Self, said that they found it very humorous and a little exciting that we could have their baby delivered by the Joker. And it said that the doctor came in the next day and was like, "Hey, I'm sorry I couldn't make the delivery yesterday, but hope everything went well." You know,
please,
saying that he wasn't
please
there.
Tell me that they named their child Batman. That would be awesome. The Joker delivers his own arch nemesis. No? Okay. No! I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, check it out if you have a chance. Listeners at home, check it out and see what you would do if your doctor walked in and you and or your wife were welcomed a welcome treat to the new infant.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool. Okay, well,
Crazy, right?
Let's move on, but this is nowhere near as cool as that. So, a little while ago we've been talking about how Avengers Infinity War they showed a trailer at the D3 and San Diego Comic-Con, but it still hasn't happened yet. We haven't got the official trailer because leaked trailers were released, and anyway, there's been some anticipation, we'll say, on the part of fans, where fans have been on Twitter asking about it daily and writing in petitions and campaign letter writing campaigns and all this junk because they want to see the official trailer. And everyone's kind of talked about it. Well, the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo, who are the directors of the upcoming Avengers Infinity War, they basically released this week they said it was a video regarding Infinity War trailer. They released a video of a wine company in California called Paul Mason's California Wine, and it stars Orson Welles. It's this old video. And in the commercial, Orson Welles basically says something like, no bottle of wine can be rushed. It can't be released before it's perfect. And that was it. That was all that they released. Basically saying hey, don't rush us. We'll release it when it's perfect. Here's the thing, though, Steve. Our good friend Kevin Feige or Feige or whatever, because I'm going to say Feige. I'm going to do this every single time we talk about our friend Kevin. But Kevin basically has said that before the end of the year, we will see an Infinity War trailer. Here's my guess. It's going to happen before the end of the year. I think they're going to release the trailer before Star Wars The Last Jedi. Disney owns Marvel. It owns Lucasfilm.
That's a great idea.
Why not drop it right at the end of the year?
I could totally see that happening.
Yep. Because, I think that movie's going to come... Avengers comes out in early May. So why not drop it at the last possible big moment where you're going to have tons of people in theaters? Last Jedi. That's what I think is going to happen.
I like it.
So
I like it.
I do like, though, that the Russo brothers just kind of trolled everyone. I kind of find that funny. So, anyway.
That is awesome. So I wanted to talk about one last thing, and this is something that's kind of cool, and you've seen this. They've done this with a few different movies. They're coming out with a live-action Lion King. I don't know if you've seen this, but it was just announced the cast for this new.
Do
Disney
tell.
Well, it's cool because there was one for Peter Pan, where I believe. Christopher Walken played Captain Hook, and there was some pretty big names in that one. Aladdin, Disney's doing a live action.
Will Smith is the genie, right?
Right. It's big shoes to fill, man.
Right,
big
no
shoes
kidding.
to fill. Don't know if he can do that one. He can do a lot of things, but
RW is hard to beat.
Nah, that's right. So anyway, this cast though, they have a freaking all-star studded cast, and I'm going to ask this question before we get into who the cast members are. It makes me think that some of these actors may want to, may have either roots in theater or may want to kind of dabble in that. And this is kind of a nice hybrid between not doing, full theater, but still doing something that's a little bit different than just, silver screen, what they're used to. So
can I make two guesses before you tell me who the people are?
You may.
The first guess is that Jonathan Taylor Thomas has nothing to do with this movie. That's my first guess.
Right. Okay, you are correct.
I think JTT's career is on a bit of a hiatus at the moment. Okay.
Last decade or so, yeah.
Here's the second guess. This is more of a statement, but I'm going to make it a guess. they would be fools not to use James Earl Jones as Mufasa. Like, that man's voice, like, he's known for doing like 3 things which The Simpsons lampooned: Darth Vader, Mufasa, and the voice of CNN. I'm just saying. Now, granted, he's a very renowned, respected actor who's done tons and tons and tons of other things, but like, his voice is known for this. And this is the live action, right? So like, they're just doing their voice.
That's right.
It's not really them acting. Okay, those are my 2 guesses.
Take Spencer with you the next time you go to Vegas, baby.
Woo!
Yes, James Earl Jones will be reprising his role as the Lion King Mufasa. What's interesting, though, let me ask you this before we get into the rest of the cast. If Robin Williams were alive today, do you think he would be cast as the genie?
In the Aladdin? Yes.
Correct.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah. Sad day. Anyway, so yes. So let's go through the cast. So Donald Glover is going to be playing Simba.
From Community and from Atlanta, right?
Atlanta. Yep. And what's cool is that he also has some musical chops as well. As we know, he's got his
Childish Gambino. What up?
Yeah, his alter ego, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I think it'll be kind of cool to see how he covers some of the.
Gonna be a mighty king.
So enemies beware.
Well, I haven't seen a king of beasts with quite so little hair. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so who do you think? Give me any thoughts or any ideas. I will let you know. She's African American. Who do you think is going to be playing Simba's counterpart, Nala?
Oprah Winfrey.
No.
Dang it.
None other than Queen Bey, baby. Beyonce.
Whoa. Beyonce,
That's right.
huh?
That's right. So if there's anybody else to bring a little bit of royalty, a little bit of je ne sais quoi, is the French say. So she is going to play Nala.
Okay.
James Earl Jones, as you know, is going to play Mufasa. So, that's going to be fantastic. And then Alfre Woodward, which I think you probably know from Luke Cage.
Oh, she's yeah. She plays Cottonmouth's sister in that. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And she's great she's been in a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah.
She is great in almost anything she's in. She's a great actress. So she's going to be playing Sarabi, which is
Simba's mom,
which is Mufasa's wife, Simba's mom.
Yep.
And then Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner. That's right.
Pumbaa and Timon.
Respectively.
That's good. That'll be good.
That'll be good, right? That'll be good.
Yeah.
But still, again, kind of big shoes to fill as well.
Sure.
And then the actor from Doctor Strange, who has kind of a rich British accent. He was
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Thank goodness you know how to say it. Yes,
yes.
He is going to be playing Scar, which I believe was voiced by Jeremy Irons in the original.
Yes.
Which was, again, fantastic. He did a great job. So some big shoes to fill there. And then, one other one that I want to say. So Zazu is going to be played by John Oliver from the
really
from last week tonight.
Really, John Oliver?
So
that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, give him a little sense of humor, little comic relief. And then the last one, Rafiki, is John Canny. I think, am I saying that right? Canny. He's Captain America: Civil War. You'll know him if you see him.
Did he play the king of what's the name of it? Basically like where the Black Panther movie's taking place.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wakanda.
Yep.
Wakanda.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So do you think this movie, it sounds like they've got the voice actors on lockdown. You think this movie's going to be really well as far as like live action, kind of the Jungle Book style stuff they've been doing?
I think it will be. I liked the Jungle Book. I liked what they did there, and I thought that it was creative. My kids loved it. So, I think it's going to be good. Okay.
Well, good. I'll look forward to seeing that. I love Lion King. I've seen it way too many times because it was big and popular when Caitlin was a kid, but yeah.
I remember going to see that at State Theater with Jennifer Shumway.
I remember seeing it at State Theater as well. I don't remember who I was with, though. But
do you remember the end when it's like, and in the end, it's a it has just the Lion King at the end?
I do remember. I've seen it a couple hundred times. I just established that.
As you said.
Hey, do you remember that time when Pumbaa and Timon sing to Simba? No. When did that happen? I must have been sleeping.
100 times.
So speaking of movies you can watch over and over and over again, Netflix, the place where you can stream to your heart's content and you can binge watch. Apparently there's been a big email going around trying to scam people and targeting subscribers to Netflix, basically saying like, hey, your account's suspended, blah, blah, blah. Here, click this link to restart your membership. Listen, folks, I know if you're listening to the Fortress of Nerditude that you are smart and intelligent, so pass this on to your dumb friends and relatives. If you get an email from anything like this, anything you subscribe to saying, hey, blah, 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 your membership is expired, or this doesn't work, da, 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 and they offer you a little button in the email or a link, don't click it ever. Simply go to Netflix and log in and check your account from there. I work in IT. This is the best possible advice you can get. I promise you. Never, ever, ever trust someone that's sending you an email saying, hey, your subscription, is done. Click this little button and we can fix it for you. Just go to their service, log in, use your credentials. Don't give it away by clicking a little button. That's all I'm saying. Don't get catfished.
Well said, my friend. Well said.
I'm just saying, I hate seeing people get taken advantage of,
well, it's
especially
amazing
when they
too.
could anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing how often it happens.
All the time.
I know people in my own family that it's happened to, and not good. So, anyway, thank you for that helpful tip and that public service announcement brought to you by Spencer Stapleton's IT department.
You are welcome. That's all I have for Rebel Intelligence. What about you, Steve?
I am spent.
Okay, let's move on. Last week, Steve, as we recorded live and had a great, wonderful time, we talked about the idea of when you go on vacation, do you take entertainment with you? I was talking about bringing the Switch, whether or not,
right.
What do you do? So we got quite a lot of responses, so we're going to try to get through some of these here. Let's start with the old emails. Let's go over to emails. And this email starts off, says, hey, it's Emily. Hey, Emily, how's it going?
Hey, Emily.
I just started listening. So fun to hear about your families. If I had a Switch, I would totally bring it on vacation. If I was busy, I just wouldn't use it. It's not like it's very big and takes up a lot of space. The same thing happened to me with The Walking Dead. I stopped watching it after that. She's talking about, when I said I kind of stopped watching.
Oh, yeah.
She says,
to the head and the eyeball.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm trying to not think about that.
I can't stop thinking about it. Thank you.
You haven't even seen it, man.
I know. Your description is so vivid.
I'm going to send that clip to you. It says, in your discussion about the Joy-Cons today, you can buy a $25 converter on Amazon that you can use for your DualShock 3 or 4s or your Xbox One controllers with the Switch, which she thinks is awesome, which I think that's awesome as well.
So you basically take your two Joy-Cons, slip it into this converter, and you've got a controller, like a more
basically you plug in a little adapter into maybe your docking port on your Switch, and then you can use your PS4, PS3, or Xbox controllers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So anyway, she says, are you excited for Battlefront 2, which is the new Star Wars game? I'm totally excited for it. And she says that Jeff and I can't wait. We're trying to finish the Aftermath series before the 17th. Hope you guys have an awesome week. Emily. Now this is, I'm going to just a real quick story. I looked at this email and I was like, oh, Emily, this is a new listener. That's awesome. That's great. We love having super friends join us in the Fortress of Nerditude every week. And I couldn't figure out who this person was because this person hadn't said anything before. And so I talked to Steve and I realized, this is Steve's sister, Emily. And this is the second time in a week I've had to ask Steve who Emily was, because apparently Emily came to Alana's baptism, and I was asking Alana who showed up, and she's like, Emily. I was like, oh, that's great. Is Emily a teacher of yours? Is it a neighbor? Is it, someone, a friend?
The milk lady?
And she's like, no, Steve's sister, Emily. And I was like, oh, you mean your Aunt Emily? Got it. Because, it wasn't prefaced. If she would have said Aunt Emily, I would have known who it was in a heartbeat. So this is and I love Emily. Emily's like a sister to me. and has been for many, many, many years. But this is like the second time in a week I have not known who Emily was. So, Emily, I apologize deeply from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry.
There you go. I just want to let that lie. Just let it lie. Anyway, Em, love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the comment. Go, Jeff, and finish the what series were they looking to finish?
I just jumped off the email. You got to bring it back, man. You can't just move forward.
I'm sorry.
After the Aftermath series.
Okay. Well, don't sleep. Just play.
Peter Christensen, dear nerds. Here we go. I think someone got on a Wikipedia, by the way. Says, Cap Streeter deserves a monument, but his wife deserves to be part of it. He crashed his steamboat on a sandbar in Lake Michigan. When silt built up, locked it in place, he declared it an independent district of the United States, not subject to the laws of Illinois or Chicago. He illegally sold plots of land owned by wealthy waterfront estates to gullible spectators. Over decades, he, his wife, and his goons chased off police with guns, axes, and pots of boiling water. He lived at the edge of the water and at the edge of the law for 30 years, and the Hancock Tower now stands on the site of his district.
Wow. So maybe he was part of this whole Netflix scam.
Maybe. Cap Streeter.
Oh.
Shifty character right there. I tell you
Shifty character.
He says, my word association for Batman v Superman is Martha. Anyway, he goes on to answer our question. Says, we usually take entertainment on vacation because we either A, have a long drive, which goes smoother if the kids have something to play with, or B, way more free time than we're used to having.
Right.
Amen
to that.
So Emily and Peter are on board with the old answers.
So I want to give before we move on, I want to give Peter Christensen a little shout out. Now, Peter Christensen is not one to self-aggrandize himself, but I don't, I was on Facebook the other day and I noticed that Celeste, his wife, had given a little shout out to Peter. So Peter has recently, so they live out in Washington, he has recently been making his own homemade preserves and selling them through an Etsy account. And I think his company is called Seattle Sweets. And Peter, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I just saw the post. But anyway, apparently he's sold out. He's got a bunch of different flavors and all the rest. He does pickles and different kinds of things. I would love to get some preserves. So
listen, though, he will not bake. He will not bake cookies for you that you have to bake.
I was going to say, in exchange
so don't try that.
For the cookies, I would like, no. So maybe I'm going to, so anyway, shout out to Peter. I love the fact that people just do interesting things, right? Whether it's making your own homemade preserves and sell them on Etsy, or, Spencer with his woodworking and leather burning and hobo chip coins, these weird things that people do. Anyway, so shout out to Peter, a true Renaissance man.
Let's move over to Facebook. Caleb Albers. First of all, I have to say, as far as DC heroes go, Shazam is my favorite, and I can't wait to see him portrayed on the big screen. He's become a real heavy hitter in the DC comics, and his backstory is really cool. Just in case you didn't already know, Billy got his powers from an ancient wizard, Shazam, who also gave some power to the son of an Egyptian pharaoh that became corrupt with the power of Shazam, and that guy became Black Adam. Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel before DC changed his name to Shazam because of some controversy with Marvel and their hero, Captain Marvel. Which there was Captain Marvel. Well, yeah, there's the Captain Marvel movie as well, right? It says, but the things that Shazam has to go through as a kid and as a superhero are awesome, especially that the dynamic that he has when members of the Justice League find out his true identity. But just like Spider-Man in a different way, we get to see how a kid with the powers of Superman would handle situations. Anyway, apologies for the rant. Apology accepted. But when I go on vacations, I don't have a portable gaming device, so I usually take my iPod to listen to or my phone to keep me a little occupied. On flights, I will 9 times out of 10 take my computer with me and play the games I downloaded with emulators like Mario Kart Double Dash or Pokemon Stadium. I also have Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and a few other Zelda games. Those usually keep me occupied through the entirety of my trips. Can't wait for the episode, nerds. So, nice. Again, another one of our super friends that sounds like they're advocating for taking entertainment with them. Going over to Twitter. Let's start with Brave S at BravesB_ says,
is this a new listener?
I believe so, Steve.
I've never heard that handle. Nice.
My wife and I are about to go camping, and I'm over here debating, Switch or 3DS?
Switch. I love that most people go camping, obviously, to, get out in nature.
Right, right.
Big screen TV
or projector with a big screen, a big sheet we hang up. Yeah.
Love those.
It's turkey time at Trash Turkey says, my kids love listening to podcasts on long road trips. If I'm traveling alone, I'll take a system to play, PS Vita or Switch.
We'll try to keep it PG for you so you can listen to it on road trips.
Right. Skinny Matt at Skinny Matt K says, usually we do not. We did discuss it when we got a Switch. It hasn't been ruled out to take the Switch for long flights or long drives.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, I
get
get
on
that.
The fence.
Yeah. Kind of on the
up
fence.
For debate.
Nathan Van Diggle at jerk_alert says, sure do. My wife and I actually bought a second Fire Stick on our last trip so we could stream shows in our room. Kindle and Vita come too.
See, that's a good idea. No, I actually like that. That's kind of a cool thing to so you're not paying for pay-per-view or whatever else you might have to, do there.
Just hook it up to the Wi-Fi and you can go.
Yeah. I like that.
Very, very smart.
And I think there are times as well when, when you're out doing whatever and finally the kids need to just come back to the hotel or the Airbnb or whatever and just kind of crash. It's nice to have something they can watch.
I agree. Steve, last week and the week before, you had made a promise that you are going to, for our 52nd episode, for our 1 year anniversary, that if we have super friends that write in to us with their email address, if they have reviewed the show and given us a 5-star rating on the old iTunes, that you're going to bake them cookies. Can I give you an updated count of where we're at?
That was not me. That was my stunt double.
Yes. The updated count is 65.
Are you freaking kidding?
I'm just kidding.
I'm going to overturn this table.
The count is up to 4. Currently it sits at 4, which is probably 4 higher than you wish. But I'm hoping the number gets a little higher.
I'd bake dozens of dozens if it meant more listeners to the fort, man.
Right.
So
now listen.
So I want to hear some of these reviews.
Okay. So here's the thing. A couple people on Twitter said, our friend the geeky nerd at dspin67 says, how will I get the cookies? Will that be discussed on said podcast? I have a feeling there will be no cookies. And of course, I immediately jumped in and I defended you. And I said, we've talked about it, but here's a refresher. You review us and you rate us on iTunes. Then you just email us at fortofnerd@gmail.com and Steve's going to mail it out to you. And so, of course,
Geeky Nerd has basically slapped me with a glove in the face.
That's right. So now here's the thing. We do have a few new reviews, so I thought we should read a couple of them. You might like them. Since the last time we've probably done this, it's been a while. Delvin Cox obviously gave us a review. A good friend of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Always shares our stuff out, and we do the same. Just a good guy, and he says, listening to these two self-professed nerds talking about pop culture and family life is great. They're very knowledgeable, and it's a very enjoyable podcast for people who have kids and don't want to listen to anything that may be too much for them. Which, I love that review because we do try to keep things positive and light, and we try not to make it so that you couldn't listen with your kids around.
Yeah, we're like the Brian Regan of podcasts.
You had to go there, did you, Steve? You just had to go there. Beep, 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 beep. And beep. Yeah, okay. We got another review by, it looks like Penguin123, but the E's a 3 and the I's a 1. And anyway, it says, I love the Halloween episode and I'm excited to tune in for more.
Nice.
And then,
okay.
And then the new listener we were just talking about, Braves B, says, this show is just fun. Steve and Spencer make such a great podcasting duo. They share funny stories and talk about all things nerdy, and the quality of the production is top-notch. Excellent intro music and bumpers that make you just want to bob your head. It has become a permanent show in my weekly podcast lineup.
Did you freaking write this?
No, because here's the thing. Because Brian, Braves B,
Great production.
Sent us an email. He says, "Hey guys, just left you an iTunes review and I heard there were cookies. I like peanut butter, I like chocolate chip, or peanut butter chocolate chip." And then he gave me his address. And he says, P.S. I do thoroughly enjoy your show. Found it recently, has earned a permanent spot in my weekly podcast lineup. Keep it up, fellas. Thanks,
dude.
Brian.
That is awesome, man. Brian, you freaking rock. Those peanut butter chocolate chip peanut butters will be coming your way.
Right. Anyway, Steve, we are having lots of fun, and I hope our super friends come out in droves and hold you up to your promise. But here's the thing. I want to help you out here. I mean, trust me. As much as I want to see this thing go viral and have like
help me out, like you're going to help me bake the cookies, or help me out by just making me work more. Is that what kind of help are you really eliciting?
Well,
here?
I'll tell you here in a second.
Okay.
I think next week, which is episode 51, I think that should be the cutoff as to when we're gonna have the official list of who has reviewed us and given us their email address and given us a rating on iTunes, because I don't want it to like go on for like 7 weeks past our 1 year anniversary and you're like having like post hoc send these things out.
Well, I do have 4 kids and a career I'm trying to manage, so yes, that would be helpful. Thank you, Spencer.
So Steve, tell
yes,
because I want you to do this here. Tell our super friends how they can help other friends find the Fortress of Nerditude and how they can get on that cookie train.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk. But what friends do, true friends tell other friends about the Fortress of Nerditude. So the Fortress of Nerditude is not as hard to find. You know what? No. We want you to review us on iTunes because it is a blatant solicitation so that we can get more reviews, so that we can build this thing. That's what this really is. But I want so many reviews that we put the Keebler elves out of business. All right? So keep them coming, folks. Keep them coming.
Wow. Bringing it strong, Madura. Bringing it strong.
Those elves, those beady little eyes, always up to something. I
always thought that was a bad gig. Cooking cookies in a tree?
In a tree?
Not a good idea.
I'm telling you. It's like Michael Jackson's hair in a Pepsi commercial.
Right. Well, Steve, I appreciate that. And like I said, I do hope that we get more reviews and more people email me. We're up to 4. If that doubles, I will be extremely happy.
Well, this is going to be a good time, and my kids will be able to reap the benefits of any leftovers. So it'll be a blessing.
Very true.
And a curse.
Very, very, very true. So, Steve, I wanted to ask you a question. Did you pay much attention at all to the news today as far as like nerd pop culture stuff?
I did, to the extent that Rebel Intelligence and the usual kind of bring in my A game, so to speak. So, what are you referring to?
Well, there was kind of a big announcement today, and then like it was kind of backpedaled some, and so I wanted to kind of talk about this and kind of get your take on this. So, CNBC reported today that Disney apparently has been in talks to buy 21st Century Fox, which not like the entire Fox company, but just 20th Century Fox, which is kind of like the entertainment division of Fox Corporation.
Yeah. I did see something about this. I didn't read a lot about it, but I did see something about it. Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? If something like this happens, that could be a big impact on kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in theory.
Yeah.
Because two big, massive comic book properties, Marvel Studios, or AKA Disney now, right? Because Disney owns Marvel Studios. Disney and Marvel do not have the rights to them, which is the X-Men franchise and the Fantastic Four. So, if potentially they could purchase 21st Century Fox, they would have those back under the stable. Now, that would mean that we could get an X-Men Avengers crossover, which is always like a huge kind of a crossover staple in the comic book world. Right?
That would be.
So let me ask you this.
Unbelievable.
How many of the X-Men movies would you say you've seen?
I've seen 4 would say. The first few I've seen.
The first three with Patrick Stewart and company.
Yeah, and then I've seen the one when they go to college. What's the one?
The First Class.
The college years.
Right.
The college years, yes.
Saved by the Bell. Yeah. So you saw X-Men First Class, where they kind of rebooted and went back into the 60s.
Right.
You didn't see Days of Future Past?
I don't remember if I did. They kind of like blur together. I don't recall.
Days of Future Past is really good. You should see that one.
Yeah.
But then there's also like the Wolverine movies. Like there was the
Wolverine movies, yeah.
There was the I'm trying to remember because there's been like 3.
Well, it was just one Wolverine, wasn't there? A Wolverine Origin.
Yeah, the X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then there was just I think it was called the Wolverine, and then the last one
Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, right? So and they're talking about doing a standalone maybe Magneto movie, and they've talked about doing. I mean, they've talked about a lot of different things. There's the Dark Phoenix saga one, which is coming up, which is going to be with the kind of the younger cast again. There was X-Men Apocalypse that was with the younger cast. Here's the thing, like, if 21st Century Fox was bought out by Disney and all these came back under the umbrella of Marvel, I think they would, like, applying, like, that Marvel Studios feel to it. I think the X-Men movies, which, in my opinion, there's been some really good ones and there's been some just kind of okay ones, and there's been a few duds. I feel like the X-Men series could definitely use a shot in the arm from Marvel Studios.
Yeah, and a lot of potential. I mean, there's a lot of potential. There've been some great movies, like you said.
Now, Fantastic Four is like the first family of comic book characters. Like, they were huge in the 70s, 60s, 70s. But let's be honest, the movies, not good. Not at all.
I mean, Jessica Alba, I'd look at her all day, but still.
Right.
I mean, the movies were just
not good. And I would have liked to have seen better movies. So they could potentially get Fantastic Four back as well. So we could see what, they could do with Reed Richards and Sue and Johnny Storm and I'm just saying, like, it could be.
You mean Captain America?
Right. Which, how
is that going to work?
Well, that's the thing is, like, you got to remember that they actually rebooted Fantastic Four just a little bit ago. And I think Michael B. Jordan was the Human Torch in that movie, Johnny Storm. But I almost would like to see Chris Evans if that could happen, if like this merger, this buyout could happen. They would
have some tongue in cheek.
Dude, sure. I mean, really, that would be awesome. Like, hey, didn't I see you before on Fire? Something like that.
It's like Tango and Cash when he shoots the thing and he's like, this guy thinks he's Rambo, and it's Sylvester Stallone. He's like, Rambo was a wuss.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm interested in this.
You think about, taking the Avengers and an X-Men crossover movie, and then, maybe they meet in some kind of epic clash, and then they team up to fight against,
Galactus or something. Well,
yeah.
Because think about it, right? We kind of talked about how all the Marvel movies have kind of been building towards Infinity War, right? That's kind of like been the overarching. Right. But like, what's going to be the next big thing that they're going to build to? Now, if Disney could get the X-Men in, they could start building towards a big crossover with the X-Men. That would be really cool. Like, that would be really exciting. Here's the thing, though. They're already saying that, because this is how it is, right? Hey, they're in talks, and then like an hour later, they're like, well, talks have stalled. We're now reporting.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, oh, come on. It's like,
here's the instant news feed.
Right. Here's the thing. Do you remember when it was leaked that Disney or Marvel was in discussion with Sony about trying to buy Spider-Man and get the rights to Spider-Man back?
Right.
And they said, well, that's off now. We're not talking about it. It's not going to happen. And then it was like 4 or 5 months later, after like all the fanboys and fangirls were like clamoring for this thing to happen. Then they came out and said, hey, listen, we've worked out a deal. We're going to allow Spider-Man to be in the MCU movies as long as we can get some crossover characters into the Sony distributed movies and have some of the writing team and the creative Marvel Studios people help us out on the Spider-Man franchise over here. And they worked out a deal. So here's my here's my guess. I think this was a test balloon. I think that Disney is in talks with Fox to buy 21st Century Fox. But this article is in leaking. This is kind of like a test balloon to see like how would fans react? Like, would they be excited? Because Disney's probably going to have to pay a chunk of money to buy this out.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the Murdochs are going to let anything go for
cheap.
They're not
right?
chumps. Yeah.
Okay, now here's something else I didn't think about immediately. Because first of all, I just thought like Marvel is buying out, 21st Century Fox, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get X-Men. We're going to get Fantastic Four. Here's something else then, like a little while later today, it struck me. So we know that Lucasfilm sold to Disney for like $4 billion. And they have the rights to episodes 1 through 3 and, all the Rogue One, episode 7 and episode 8 and da-da-da-da-da. And in 20 years from the time of the buyout, then they will get Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi permanently over in the Disney camp. But Star Wars A New Hope, the original film, the film that started it all, 1977, May 25th, Star Wars A New Hope, that movie's rights in perpetuity forever still stay with Fox. And that one thing is like, that's why I think we're not going to see, because I want to see a Blu-ray version, a high digital quality version, restoration of the original movies without all of the added 1997 George Lucas tinkering. But I don't think we're going to see that because Disney can't give us A New Hope. I think they can get rights they have the right, I think, to do Empire and Return of the Jedi. But some of that money right now is still going to go back to Fox. But I don't think they have rights to A New Hope because Fox owns that forever. So what if this thing actually does happen and Disney buys this? Then are they going to own Star Wars A New Hope? And then will Disney finally have everything Star Wars under the umbrella? Because before, 21st Century Fox still owned Empire and Return of the Jedi for 20 years. But now if 21st Century Fox gets bought out and sold altogether, I mean, it sounds like Fox is getting ready to get rid of their entertainment wing, their entertainment division altogether. So why would they hold on to one single movie and one single movie only?
That's called spite.
Right? We're going to hold this forever.
I don't know.
It's ours.
I wonder, is that under the Fox Entertainment holdings? I mean, I wonder how it's held.
It is.
It is. Okay. I don't know. It's interesting to think about the impact it would have on kind of the superhero, on the Marvel, MCU, on Star Wars. But you think about this just from a maybe a more of a legal nerd point of view of like, even the recent merger of AT&T and the Time Warner deal is the Trump administration is looking. I've read in the Wall Street Journal they're looking at this as like possibly a lawsuit to antitrust concerns and whatnot. And so I would wonder if this same kind of conglomeration would meet with similar hurdles, regulatory hurdles as well from the Trump administration. I mean,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that would be huge. I mean, yeah. As we've been talking about this, I've clicked on an article that talked about as well. Not only some of the things that we've talked about already, but also this article talks about how Disney may have its eye on James Cameron's lucrative Avatar franchise. Now, obviously, it has some of the kind of the theme park-esque type things at Orlando, I think, and we've talked about that in previous podcasts, but to get actual movie rights as well, with those new movies coming out, and then giving Fox the opportunity to kind of jettison this part of its programming and focus on some of the other things that it may want to laser focus on, including like sports and news broadcasting as well. I mean, their news network has become huge. It's really one of the top 3.
Right.
So
well, I mean, I was just kind of like looking around like at 21st Century Fox's like intellectual properties, and I was realizing
Simpsons.
Simpsons, but like Deadpool, which did such big business, like Deadpool would come back to Disney. Now, if you're a big fan of Deadpool, you know what that probably means is that Deadpool probably isn't going to get any more movies because Disney really doesn't want to do R-rated superhero movies.
Well, it's super R-rated. I mean, that's like
like
pushing the envelope.
Reference, but like all the recent Planet of the Apes movies would probably fall under that, like the Alien movies. So like, kind of big intellectual properties that like could continue to have sequels and spin-offs.
But it's not really the Disney image. It's not the squeaky clean mouse.
Right. But I mean, Disney doesn't always do squeaky clean mouse stuff. But I know what you're saying, right? Like there's...
Yeah, but I think Deadpool and like Old Man Logan, I mean, those are violent, pretty, profane.
Right.
Franchises.
Now, didn't we talk about... Did we say that it was Disney that was going to do like an Avatar Land, or was it some other company that was going to do an Avatar Land?
No, I thought it was Disney. Yeah, that's gonna be part of Animal Kingdom, I think, in Orlando.
So here's the thing, man. If this were to happen, they would own Avatar. So they'd probably be able to cut themselves a deal on the merchandising rights there at Avatar Land.
Yeah, you think? It's I don't know. It's interesting to see if that could actually get pushed through. Just like I said, with antitrust, it'd be interesting to see. But again, I think that what may save them is things like Netflix and like Amazon that are creating these new definitions or new competition mediums. That it's not just the Time Warners and the Foxes, the Disneys, the large kind of tentpole companies that we're beholden to anymore. There are different things that might play well to that.
You just brought something up in my mind. Remember a little while ago we talked about the idea that Disney's going to break away from Netflix and do their own thing? Imagine now if they had all the Star Wars, all the X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Planet of the Apes stuff, the Alien stuff. Like, that's all stuff now that would fall into that Disney umbrella. They could be on the Disney streaming site and not on Netflix anymore. Like that could potentially
and tons of shows as well. I mean, like This Is Us was a huge show that Fox had just done recently. Simpsons, Family Guy. I mean, there's a lot of shows as well. So yeah, content, both movies and shows.
Like the X-Files. Like I think they're doing the Netflix series, but like I think Fox is still involved in that. And if all of a sudden Disney owns that, goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Zoink. Yeah, right.
Right?
Goodbye, Smoking Man.
I don't know why I had that reaction to cigarette smoking, man. Aww.
You're really close to him?
He was my dad in a former life. I don't know. I mean, just
secondhand smoke. Aww.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, let
me ask you this question. You're in the room, right? To put it from Hamilton, you're in the room where it happens. What kind of price tag do you think it would take to buy 20th Century Fox, the entertainment wing? What do you think Disney would have to pony up? Now, keep in mind, they ponied up $4 billion, billion with a B, for just Lucasfilm.
Oh my gosh. I mean...
Do you think it's that much? Do you think it's less?
Oh, no, I think it's more.
Really?
No, I think it's... Yeah.
I don't know, because I think the Star Wars franchise and what you can do with it going forward and all the merchandising is probably a bigger franchise than the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, but I think it goes... I mean, but you're talking about a whole... I don't know. I think you're talking about a whole media arm
that's true.
Has
that is true.
A lot more legs than just a single franchise.
That's true.
I don't know, but in the way of, I'm trying to figure out what the Time Warner, trying to give myself some cliff notes here.
Let's just take a guess. What do you think it would cost?
Probably double digit. I mean,
like
7 to 10 billion.
7 to 10 billion. I think it's going to go higher. I think it's going to go between 10 to 12 billion. If it happens, I think that's where the number is going to be. Because I think you're right. It is a whole division. It's not just a few movie franchises, but I think Fox is going to value just Star Wars: A New Hope at $1 billion alone. Just that one movie. Because you think about it, with that one movie, they'd be able to then like resell like the original trilogy, and I know that movie was huge for them, and I know it's been put in the Library of Congress, and it's being preserved, forever, and it's a landmark. I mean, it is the thing that kicked off the entire Star Wars universe. So
that's
I think 10 to 12 billion dollars. Could I just
good golly?
Could I just own 1% of that?
Yeah, I mean, I could own much less than that and be a happy man. But interesting. So we'll see. We'll update you as to how the talks proceed, and see if Rupert Murdoch and company, if they'll be bullish or if they'll
yeah.
We'll see how it plays out.
If talks resume, what's going to happen with it? We'll definitely follow the story because I think it's really interesting, and it has some ramifications in the world of nerd and pop culture.
And I would say, maybe we buy some Fox stock, being that it spiked 9% on news of the day. So
yeah, that may be a little too pricey for my blood.
Anyway, well, good stuff. Well, a good discussion. It was timely. So and I think I think we'll probably see more of this as well. I think we're going to see more consolidation within the industry as the bigger just get bigger. So.
I think we're going to see people like Amazon. I think Amazon's going to be the next big player. I mean, I know Netflix has been making a big push and buying up stuff and doing all these, comedy specials and whatnot. I think Amazon's going to be the next big player in the market. Jeff Bezos has talked about it. He really wants to get into this space. I mean, I know they did the kind of that Man in the High Castle, which was a really big deal for them. And didn't they have like a movie that was nominated for Best Picture last year with Casey Affleck? And I think Casey Affleck actually won an Academy Award. And I'm pretty sure like it was a movie that was like on Amazon Prime. So
Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
An Amazon original.
Yeah. So like,
and yes, he won Best Actor.
If they're starting to get that kind of stuff, I really do think, I think Amazon's going to be one of the next big players, which is interesting because traditionally it's been, movie studios, and now we may start seeing media conglomerates with their own divisions, much more than we have in the past. It's
interesting times we live in, Spence. Interesting times.
Good time to be alive.
If my granddaddy could have seen this. Seriously, I remember when my grandpa Winnicky used to say, what'll they do next? Sell water in bottles?
Really?
Yeah, I remember he used to say that. I'm like, oh, he'd be rolling in his grave.
But that's exactly what they do, Papa.
Yeah, exactly. They sell air in cans? Spaceballs the flamethrower.
The kids will love this one.
Oh, man. Very good. Well, cool. Well, always good to be with you, Spence. Super Friends, always good to be with you guys as well. Get on the old iTunes and let the old Madura clan bake you some cookies.
So let's do this, Steve. We're going into next week, episode 51. Let's not ask a question. Let's ask for questions this week. What do you say?
Love it.
So
love it.
Here for
just make sure you post your questions on iTunes.
Right, with a 5-star rating, and email us your address.
Yes,
we'll get you some cookies. Okay, so Super Friends, leave us a question. We want to hear from you. We'll give you an answer next week. You can leave your questions if you need long form on the old email, which is fordofnerd@gmail.com. Or you can get us on the Twitter, which is Ford of Nerd, or at Ford of Nerd, or Facebook, which is facebook.com/Ford of Nerd, and we will read them next week.
Very good. Very good. Well, to all your cookie wishes, may they come true, and we will see you next week.
May the Force be with you, always.